Well, I guess this is another session of bush talk in relation to what's happening to our country and our lives and such. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Cestui Que Trust and the Cestui Que Vie Trust. And first, in relation to the Vatican and how they use these trusts. I mention that because they're classic at giving you or promising you if you join their church, become a member of their society, you've been granted a special thing called life after death. Well, I'm going to explain legally how they come up with this, because that's a pretty big claim to offer someone a guarantee of life after death. I mean, how the hell do you know what's going to happen when you die? There's no evidence of any of that, you know. Once we're dead, we're basically dead, and then you sort of believe whatever you want to believe after that. But the Vatican and these churches make that claim. It's a pretty full-on claim. Well, the first trust, when you're born, this is in the legal sort of terms, the first trust is called a Cestui Que Trust. It's a little bit like when you turn 21, you go through that rigmarole, or you get handed your key. When you turn 21, you become the man, and you're handed a key. Of course, we go through 21, they say it's the key to life. Well, it actually is, and it's actually the key to the Cestui Que Trust. It could be the Cestui Que Vie Trust. The word vie means life. But what the Vatican does is it goes through a process, they call it confirmation, when you confirmed to become a Catholic. You know, you join their trust, or whatever they want to call it. They actually call it a trust. And what happens when you're 12 or 14, whatever it is around that time, you go through a thing called confirmation. And whereas a young boy is born as John Doe Smith, when he gets confirmed to be a Catholic, he becomes like John Doe Paul Smith or John Doe Matthew Smith. They actually give him a new name, a new, which is like a new trust. It's a name that they grant you for their society. What it actually has done is, by accepting the second name, that's another trust. It's called the Cestui Que Vie Trust. And what's happened is your first trust, Cestui Que Trust, which is your first life under the name John Doe Smith, has been abandoned or left aside or taken over by the Vatican. And the Vatican has then granted you your new confirmed, Vatican confirmed or Catholic confirmed name, called John Doe Paul Smith. And that's your life after death. Because the first life, John Doe Smith, in legal terms, has been left, abandoned. And after 7 years, something that's abandoned, or a life that's been abandoned, it's the old laws, it becomes lost at sea and assumed dead. And then what happens is the new trust, John Doe Paul Smith, becomes the new life. So in effect, your new life life after death, when you become a confirmed Catholic, you're already living your second life. So that's why they can guarantee it so much, because you've already handed over your first trust to the Vatican, and you're living your second life under a whole new name. And then you probably wonder, well, what happened to the first trust? You know, why would they go through such a thing? You know, why do they want to change a name? What's the whole point in doing that? Well, the first trust is the sovereign trust. When you're born, you've got an inherent, look at that, you have an inherent birthright. And that trust is your part share owner of the sovereign land you were born to. And of course, if the Vatican or whatever corporation that can hold that name, then it gets the Cestui Que Use Act out of that. And of course, your first name, John Doe Smith, born to the land, well, that means that his trust, his first trust, owns his share of all the vast wealth of say, Australia. And then that wealth, the trillions of dollars worth of oil and gas and coal and gold and uraniums and all those things that this country's got, that's shared up between all of the people that are born in this country. And then that's valued, and then that value of the land that sits in reserve becomes sort of the value of the Reserve Bank. Now, they don't want you to hold that. They want to hold that because that's where all the riches are. So if they give you a second trust or a second name that's worth nothing, or that belongs to the 1 square mile of land where the Vatican sits, that's worth absolutely nothing when you divide that between all the millions of Catholics, then your second life or your second trust is worth nothing. And your first rich life, that trust, becomes the property of the Vatican. Well, because they're the trustee of it, and you technically died, you didn't come back to life, the trustee in law has right to claim the estate of the beneficiary. So it takes the value of your first trust, gives you a worthless trust, and if you never work it out, you're a good Catholic, then you'll spend the rest of your life basically with nothing, or with the work that you've accumulated that doesn't even belong to you, it belongs to them anyway. So that's how the life after death works. Your first life is you've granted it to the Vatican, and then your second life, well, that's the new one that you've been given, the John Doe Paul Smith. You see what's going on? It's sort of like a bit of a scam, isn't it? And we like to think that the Vatican or our churches, all these people dressed in black, you know, representing the dead, we all put our trust with these people. We trust them to do it. And yet all they've done is taken that for their own benefit. And that's how it all works. So that's a little bit about the life after death in relation to the Cestui Que Trust. And by the way, the second trust, the John Doe Paul Smith, that's called the Cestui Que Vie Trust. And what that does in relation to the Cestui Que Vie Trust Act that was created in 1666, the 1 and then the 3 sixes, that was created in order to bring life to a dead trust. Because before that, a trust is a trust that can only be of the living. But if you can put life into a dead trust through the agreement of the both parties under that act, then there you have it. You've created a living, dead trust that's worth nothing. And the holder of your real trust that you've surrendered and didn't know about becomes the property of the person that you surrendered it to. Yep, there's a lot of tricks in this world. You got to watch what you're doing. One wonders if the mafia, have gotten into the Catholic Church or the Vatican. You wonder who's taken it over. Maybe once it was a good thing, but maybe not so much anymore. I might have a pig up there. Go check it out. Look at that. That's pretty good. Oh no, here we go. What is it? It's a little turkey. That's beautiful. I love coming up here to talk because it's private and it's the real part of life.